Victress FM, brought to you by Victress Entrepreneurs. Here's your host, single mum, entrepreneur and brain injury survivor, Michelle Williams.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Victress FM, where every week I'll be introducing you to inspiring women who have gone after their dreams and refuse to give up even in the face of extreme adversity. We'll be diving into her victories and her defeats and discovering the lessons that she's learned along the way, all with the aim of inspiring you to step into your own unique power to create a business and life that you love. And this week I was joined by the incredible Tia Harding, the founder of tiaharding.com and the Positive Thinking Academy. Tia empowers women to create positive thinking and self-confidence so that they can step into their own unique power to live their best and most fulfilling lives. During this episode, we talk about Tia's own 20-year battle with depression and anxiety and how, after hitting rock bottom, she finally broke free and how she's now helping other women to do the same. I absolutely loved hearing Tia's story of triumph over adversity, which I know will inspire so many other women to believe what is possible for us all when we positively harness the power of our own minds. So sit back and prepare to be inspired, because I know you are going to absolutely love this episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of Victress FM, where I'm really delighted to welcome onto the show Tia Harding. Welcome, Tia. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hello, and thank you very much for having me.
Well, I'm so excited to have you on the show because, as you know, the theme of Victress FM is all about celebrating women's triumph over adversity. And I really want to inspire women that we all have the choice of deciding whether we want to be the victim or victress of our own lives. And I know you've got a really incredible story of triumph over adversity. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your victress story with us today, Tia.
Yes, of course. So I'll start right at the beginning. When I was a young child, I felt like I was quite different to everyone else, and I felt that I actually felt the world differently, and I would take things quite personally, and I didn't ever feel like I fitted in anyway. And then from about age 6, I started to get bullied in primary school, and then that continued into the secondary school, so that's age 11 to 18, and I was verbally and also physically bullied as well. So these things just made me feel less than, and felt even more that I didn't fit in anyway, and like I didn't have friends, and then no one liked me. And this bullying, it actually didn't stop in school. It carried on throughout my life. And at the time, I didn't realise why I was always getting bullied and why people felt like they needed to bully me. But now, looking back, I can see why these things happened. But when I went into work, age 21, I got bullied in the workplace as well, in every job. And I was always trying to look for some way that would make me happy. I would go from place to place, job to job, friends to friends, trying to look for someone that wouldn't bully me anymore. And this bullying obviously resulted in me feeling quite depressed and anxious, stressed. I was also having panic attacks. So the constant bullying was just affecting my mindset and also my beliefs about myself. And it was just making me feel like no one loved me. And when I look back now, that is actually how I felt the whole time. And also when I was 17, I was raped, and that obviously added to my feelings of not being loved. And then when I was 20 and 21, I was in a abusive relationship, and I was also further raped in that relationship. And again, that added to my feelings of not being loved, and worsened my depression, anxiety and panic attacks. It was getting so bad that I couldn't leave the house, and going to work was difficult, and I was taking months off from work at a time. And then I'll just add that at this time I didn't actually know I was depressed, which is a really weird thing. I look back and I think, how did I not know I was depressed, or how did I not know that I was anxiety? But I think I'd never really read up about depression or anxiety, if that makes sense.
What were you, I mean, just for other people that might be going through something similar, I mean, how were those symptoms of depression and anxiety manifesting, so that other people might be able to recognize that?
It was at first, when I was younger, the depression and anxiety was more thoughts. So I always used to call myself a sad person, and I'm always a sad person. That's just what I used to say. And I would just have constant sad, negative thoughts. I was always pessimistic, always negative, always ruminating on the past and thinking about what I could have done better, or why did this happen? Why does this happen to me?
Right.
So that was more my depression side of things, and thinking how sad I was, and that I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to have friends. I didn't want people to get close to me if they could see the real me. So that was my depression side symptoms. And then my anxiety then was the constant worrying, and worrying about what people thought about me, worrying about anything in the future, what's going to happen, just constant worrying. And then that was manifesting itself into panic attacks. I was always constantly worrying about if I was going to die. And then all of those thoughts and feelings and emotions, I was holding them all in. I didn't tell anyone how I was feeling. I never cried or anything to release any of these emotions. And they then started manifesting as physical symptoms as well. So I used to suffer with IBS, food intolerances, bad rosacea skin, whole body. There was just so many symptoms I can't even list. It was my whole body. I used to go to the doctors, and the doctors would say, "Oh, you're just making it all up." And then sometimes I would think, am I making it all up? But because when you're in that mindset, it's hard to know what's real and what's not. And because I'd never experienced anyone else telling me they felt like that, I didn't know if this was just me or this was how other people could feel. So every time I'd gone to the doctor's appointments, no one had ever mentioned any words such as depression or anxiety or panic attacks. I didn't actually get diagnosed until I was late 22.
Right.
And then actually the diagnosis shocked me. And I kind of was thinking things like, oh, how am I depressed? And this can't be true. I'm not depressed. I'm not anxious. But I think I was just thinking there was a label of depression and anxiety. And then I started thinking, what will people think of me? So it was quite ironic that actually receiving a diagnosis sent me into a further spiral of depression. And it was then that my depression turned into suicidal depression. And that's when things got really bad. And then I no longer wanted to go on in life. I couldn't see why there was any point, or I couldn't see anything that everyone else could see. All I could see and think about and believe was that there was no point for me to be here. And then that was back in 2012. And one day I just decided I've had enough, and that I need to end this because it was too much pain to suffer any longer. And I decided that was the day that it was going to end. But thankfully something stopped me. And I can't tell you what it was. It was like like a flash before my eyes. Something weird happened, and I don't really know what it is. Maybe like an out of body experience or something.
So you'd actually made the decision at that point that you wanted your life, basically.
Yeah, I don't know whether to I won't go into too much detail about what I did because it could be a trigger. But yeah, so I was actually going to go ahead with it, and just about as I was about to do it, something flashed in front of my eyes. It was a really weird experience, and I still don't know what it is to this day, but basically I stopped and just broke down, crying and shaking, and went and told my mother how I was feeling. And obviously she was shocked and couldn't believe it, that her daughter of 22 years of age, and she didn't know any of this was going on. And then that's when I started to get help then from a therapist. And I decided then that when I overcome depression, anxiety, and all these limiting beliefs, that I'm going to share everything I learned with the world so that people don't have to suffer like I did, because there is no need for anyone to suffer from their mindset, because we just create all the beliefs in our mind anyway. So if I felt like it was my job then to share everything I learned so others don't have to go through what I did.
Yeah, and I love that, and that's why I connected with you, because I think this is, anxiety and depression is something that I think that so many people go through quietly without telling anybody. And I just wanted to ask really about, obviously when you started getting bullied at school at a very young age, did you actually tell your mum at that point? Did you share it with anyone at that point? No. Yeah.
I think I was such a quiet young girl, and well, in some respects I'm still a quiet, reserved person now, but I was just born quiet, if that makes sense. I was always quite timid, and I think I already felt like I didn't fit in. I was a bit different to everyone else anyway. Like I look a bit different. I've got naturally curly hair, and I like to dress differently. So I think I was a bit of an easy target for bullies, and then I just took it personally. And then being so quiet, I didn't want to tell anyone, because I thought, if I tell my mum, they might bully me further. And I think I just held those beliefs all the way through school, and even until I was an adult. I think I just didn't. I think looking back, it's because I didn't speak to anyone else about it. I didn't know how I could change it, or that it was okay for me to tell people. I thought I had to hold it all in. And I came from a bit of a bringing up that to hold your emotions in and to be strong and to be tough. So I think I was just trying to be strong and tough, and it kind of backfired on me.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to talk about it, because bullying, it goes on so much, and unfortunately nowadays with social media, it's bullies have got new ways to continue victimizing people. So I think it's such an important topic to talk about, and encourage people, if they are going through something like that, actually to share it, because obviously you really you needed that help back then. But I'm just interested, because obviously you went through all of this quietly, suffering in silence, and I think with each, perhaps with each experience that you went through with the bullying, rape, and the abusive relationship that you said that you went through, you obviously got to that point where you really reached rock bottom, and you just thought that life was no longer worth living. But I'm so interested in how you've turned it around, because what you're doing now is absolutely amazing. It's really inspiring, because I know that you've got the Positive Thinking Academy, helping women create positive thinking, positive thinking mindset, and to build their self-confidence. And I absolutely love that, because that's really what Victress Entrepreneurs is all about. I really want women to realise the power that we have within ourselves. We are in control of our lives. We need to not let life happen to us, but we make things happen. So I would love to hear your journey from that point of rock bottom to how you turned it all around, and to how this has taken you onto the really inspiring and exciting entrepreneurial path that you're now on.
Okay. So as I said earlier, it was in 2012 that I hit rock bottom, and I decided that I didn't want to take medication, because I've always been a sensitive person, and that's not only to people's words, but that's to food and medications and sprays and anything like that. So I knew the medication wouldn't be a good option for me. So I decided to go with therapy, and I had weekly therapy for a couple of months now. I can't remember too much about that time. It was a little bit blurry, but I know it was weekly, and I had a huge transformation within those few months. Talking to someone was the first thing. The first 3 sessions, I just cried for the whole hour, because I'd never cried before, and let out all this emotion that I'd held inside. And I didn't realize that I needed to let out this emotion. And then in the therapy, she just let me understand a bit more about how I was thinking and how I had got to this stage. And it did make me feel a lot better. And she also taught me about trying to stop the negative thoughts that were coming to my mind. But there were so many negative thoughts that it was very, very difficult. There wasn't a second in the day that I didn't have a negative thought. I couldn't do anything without thinking negatively. But I practiced hard, and I did start to see some relief. And then after then, I didn't really do a lot. I kind of thought, this is what normal feels like now, because I did feel a little bit better. I was no longer suicidal. I was having moments of happiness. So I thought, this is normal life, or that this is the best I felt so far. This must be it. But then a few years later, I started to feel more depressed again, and I didn't understand why. I thought I had healed this and got over this, and I was starting to get quite confused. And then in 2016, I was so depressed again. I started to feel slightly suicidal again, and I didn't understand why, because I thought I was doing everything right. Like, I changed my job and I was doing things for me, but I still didn't understand. So I started searching for answers, and then it just seemed as if all the answers lined up for me that year, through different books and the internet. One book that I would advise everyone to read if they haven't is You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Okay,
Have you read that book?
No, I haven't, but do you know what? Another guest on Victress FM has also recommended that book, so definitely I've put it on my list anyway, so yes, absolutely. Yeah. So
it basically was a life changer for me. So I started reading that book, and I was like looking through the book, and it all started to sink in, and my mind started to think differently, and I started to think, oh wow, I can actually take control of my life. I didn't realize that I have control, and that I can change my outer reality by changing my inner reality. So how I think on the and feel on the inside is how my world will be on the outside. And this started to click in my mind, and I just couldn't believe it. I was lost for words. And then I just started to implement everything Louise teaches in the book, and I would listen to her meditations and affirmations on YouTube, and I would constantly repeat positive affirmations day in, day out. And my mind started to change. And then from there, I started to be led to other mindset books, and slightly more spiritual books, with the law of attraction, and things like that. And then I just started putting it all into practice, and I created a daily practice for myself where I would do things to calm my mind. So it would calm the thoughts that was coming into my mind. And I would do self-care every day. And at the beginning, because I thought I can't go on like this anymore, I really have to change, and I have to change now, I decided that I was going to dedicate as much time as I could every single day to self-care and mindset practice. And by doing so, within 6 months, my depression, anxiety was gone. And
Wow.
I could not believe it. And I couldn't believe that I had suffered previously. So at that time I was 27, for 27 years. And all I had to do with these certain mindset and self-care and self-love, and I could change it all around. And since that time, I haven't had one depressive episode or thought, or any anxiety at all. I do still get nervous because that's a normal trait of being a human being. But nothing, no worry or anxiety that lasts for days and days and days. And that's all down to practicing the mindset techniques that I learned from different books and podcasts and videos that I watched in 2016. And now I teach in the Positive Thinking Academy, the new course I just launched. The way that I implemented it, and the way I think the way that worked best for me, so that I can help other people do the same, because it took so long to try and put all this stuff together and learn and trial it. And now I just make it as easy to understand through my course and my ebooks and my blogs, because I just feel everyone needs to know this, and it shouldn't take a lifetime to learn all these things.
No, absolutely not. And that's why I was so excited to have you on the podcast, because I know how common it is, people suffering with depression and anxiety, and there's on the news we hear about suicides all the time, it was on the news quite recently about a young girl that had committed suicide. And I have to say, I kind of think they should teach mindset stuff at school, don't you think?
100%. And it just it should be available everywhere. And I think that's why I just try to post on the internet as much as I can everywhere, and hopefully people share what you're saying so that people don't have to suffer. Because if I had known back when I was, say, 10 years old or 15 or 20 even, then what I know now, then I wouldn't have had to have suffered by my own thoughts, because basically with depression and anxiety, all you're doing is suffering from your own thoughts. And it's the mind monkeys, isn't it? It's there's stories that we tell ourselves that are really since my brain hemorrhage, I can't say some words. So I know what the word is, but I can't say it. But they kind of like they really these thoughts of self, they really self-sabotage. They stop us from living our fullest life, and but at the end of the day, they are our thoughts, and we are in control of our thoughts, but we don't realize that, do we? No.
So we continue telling ourselves stories, and I think that I'm such a big believer in mindset. I mean, I first got into it a few years ago, and I'm not somebody that's actually, I wouldn't say that I've particularly suffered from depression or anxiety. But I have gone through some quite traumatic experiences in life, which of course have affected me. And there've been points in my life where I have felt really low, and there's certain things that have helped me. And I think where I first got into mindset was I started listening to an audible, and it was Napoleon Hill. It was Think and Grow Rich. If I ever felt low, I would just I would listen to that, because it just automatically made me believe I am in control of my life and my destiny, and it's just so powerful. But I wonder if you wouldn't mind sharing then something. You say that you started doing daily rituals or routines. What are some of the things that you did that kind of took you from that sort of negative victim mindset, if you like, to positive, what I will call Victress mindset that you have today?
Okay. So I would say that the number one thing that helped me is positive affirmations. And you will hear a lot of people say positive affirmations don't work. But the reason they will say that is that they won't work if you don't believe they're going to work. Mm-hmm. So you have to believe that the affirmation is going to work. Yeah. And the best times to do the affirmations is when you're actually calm. And so that would be after a meditation, or just as waking in the morning, or just before going to sleep. This is because your mind goes into a different state. Mm-hmm. And when you go into this different state, then you can change your actual beliefs by repeating positive affirmations. So my beliefs used to be, I'm sad, depressed, anxious, no one loves me, I'm weird, and I'm not good enough, and all those sorts of things. Mm-hmm. So I completely swapped those round, and I wrote my own affirmations. And every single morning when I woke up, I would say that I am happier and healthier every single day. I am happier, healthier every single day. And I would just keep repeating that as soon as I woke up. Mm-hmm. And I would use that affirmation every single day throughout the day. And then I would repeat other affirmations, simple ones such as, I am good enough, I am worthy, people love me, and I love other people back. And it was just using anything positive that was opposite to my negative beliefs at that time. And I would say, if anyone is feeling negative about any situation in their life, to switch it to a positive and start repeating the positive affirmation, because I really believe in the power of positive affirmations, and the more you repeat them, the more you start to believe them, and the easier they get, and they actually then become your life. I remember one day thinking, oh my gosh, I am actually happier and healthier. I am happier and healthier. It's like, oh my gosh, my positive affirmation has come true. And that's kind of what happened with every single affirmation I would use. So I would do that first thing in the morning, and I would repeat those throughout the day, every single day. And I started journaling, and I used that as a way to let go of my feelings and emotions, anything that I was thinking that day. And then I also used it as a place to write out affirmations and a place to write my gratitude for that day. Because there were so many things when I was depressed that I wasn't doing, that I didn't realize would be good for me, such as letting out my thoughts and emotions and feelings. And when you're not comfortable in talking to someone about it, journaling is a good way to do that, because your journal doesn't judge you. You can write anything that you want inside, and it would always make me feel a lot better. And then also, when I was depressed, I never practiced gratitude, and I didn't actually realize that practicing gratitude daily would make me feel happier, because when you're in a victim mindset, you don't realize how many good things you actually have in your life, and how many good things there are in life. Even if you're at rock bottom, there is still something to be grateful for. So I would list a list of 10 things I was grateful for every morning in my journal. Plus, I started meditating to calm my mind. And at first I would just do it for 5 minutes, because I found it quite difficult. And I would use a guided meditation, and I would do yoga every day. I come from a background of being a fitness fanatic, and I used to use that as a way to try and feel good and to drown out the thoughts, the depressive and anxiety thoughts. So I was really into fitness, too much actually. So when I started healing, I decided that I was going to do less intense exercise and more yoga. And actually the yoga was more healing than I expected it to be, because I thought in my mind it was just going to be about stretching and maybe a bit of breathing. I didn't realize it would actually calm my mind and it would enable me to think more clearly. So those are all the things I used to do in the morning, and that would set me up then for the day. So at that time I was a personal trainer, so I was actually doing a job I enjoyed. So I liked going to work, that was fine. But in the other times around my work, then I would focus on self-care. So at the time that was things like just taking lots of baths, making sure I was doing my hair, my nails, face masks and things like that. When you're depressed, you can stop taking care of yourself. But actually when you stop taking care of yourself, you're telling yourself you're not worthy of care. So I feel like a big thing to heal is self-care, because you're showing yourself you're worthy and showing outside that you're worthy, and then that changes your mindset as well. So yeah, self-care on top of affirmations, meditation, journaling and yoga. But then there were mindset techniques that I would practice daily, and they may be a bit too long to go into, but a few of them were just like stopping your thoughts come into your mind and reframing your thoughts. So stop believing what the thoughts were telling you and changing them into something more positive or neutral, and something that more that you wanted to believe. Because I think that we need to understand that we don't have to believe our thoughts, and no thought is a fact, because everyone's thoughts are different and everyone's beliefs are different, so no one's can be a fact. And I think when we know this, we can challenge any negative thoughts that come to our mind and change them to a positive thought and one that we want to believe, rather than just letting our thoughts control us. We can control our thoughts.
Yeah, because I mean the thing is, this is kind of like rewiring your brain, isn't it? And you know, because of my brain hemorrhage, I go every week to Headway, which is a brain injury charity, and I've had to do cognitive rehabilitation therapy too, because part of my brain bleed means that I have lost some of the cognitive abilities I had before. But I'm learning so much about the brain and how you can, it's an amazing thing. You can relearn new things. You know, there's people that have suffered a brain injury that, you know, all of a sudden they can't walk, they can't talk, but they can relearn some of those activities because the brain's so powerful. And the same way that you can teach your brain to have more positive thoughts, you know, and I think that sometimes those negative thoughts are experiences that we've had throughout our life, but we have to realise that they are stories, they're not true, and we have the power to change those thoughts. And you mentioned about affirmations and meditation, gratitude. I mean, from my point of view, you know, it's so important to start each day with a positive mindset, isn't it? And those are all things that we can do to ensure that we do start our day with a positive mindset. And like you said, you know, however rock bottom we are, there are always things that we can feel grateful for. So rather than focusing on the negative things, we need to actually focus on those positive things that we do have in our life, because there is always something, isn't there? Yeah, 100%.
And sometimes you might feel yourself falling back into a victim mindset, but I think the most powerful thing you can do then is go straight to write gratitude lists, because it doesn't matter where you are in life, that, like you said, there is always something to be grateful for. Since moving my business online, there has been lots of challenges, and sometimes my mind wants to go into a victim mindset, and then I'm just start to think all the things I have to be grateful for, even though it's been tough setting up online. I realise there has been tougher times, and I got through those times before, then I can get through this time now. And you just have to realise the power of your mind, and that it's your mind and your mindset that enables you to move forward or not. If you believe that you can, you will, and if you believe you can't, you won't.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I absolutely love that. And, you know, and I love the fact that you're setting this up online, because it means you can help more people, you know, the power of the internet. You know, you can help more people that are perhaps struggling and going through some of the challenges that you have been through. But the other thing that I love as well about entrepreneurism for women is because actually mindset is important for life, but mindset is also very important for business and business success. You have to have a positive mindset. But what I really love is actually by having a business and taking the actions that you need to take to make your business a success, I think feeds in so much to your self-worth, because it forces you to come out of your comfort zone, do things. It doesn't. It's do things that perhaps you're scared to do, or you find a little bit terrifying, but you have to do them. And in doing so, you actually prove to yourself what you're capable of. Because you know, sometimes you'll think, you'll tell yourself, I can't do this. I can't. I haven't got the experience. I haven't got the knowledge. This is too technical. And you tell yourself these stories that you can't do it. But at the end of the day, you need to tell yourself, I can do this, and I will do this. And then you can prove to yourself actually how capable you are, and in fact how powerful you are, because the power is in your mind, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I actually have come across a lot of fears in the last year. So I set up tiaharding.com last March in 2018. And so many fears were telling me things that I can't do it, that no one's going to listen to me, no one wants to hear what I've got to say, who am I to say this? Oh, I'm not qualified to say this, which is, of course I'm qualified, I've been through life.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like you said, it makes you stronger, and then you realize how much you can achieve. And I actually went through that just a few weeks ago before recording the Positive Thinking Academy. I just started to feel really sick and thinking, I can't do this. I can't record videos of myself. And I just thought, I just have to do it. And then when I finished it, I thought, wow, that was so easy. So I think our mind just builds things up, and it makes them seem a lot harder. And when we realize that fear is there as something that used to protect us from danger, but it's not actually true all the time, and that we can push through this fear and come out the other side and realize that it's easy, it just makes us feel so much better. And when we come across more fears, we realize, oh, we can do this because we got through that fear before. And you just keep building and building your mindset, like you said.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, we do make things to be much bigger and scarier than they actually are in our minds. You know, sometimes things aren't easy. Sometimes we might make mistakes, we might have a few failures, but you know, actually failure is a good thing, because for me, I always think it's an opportunity to learn. Either to learn from your mistakes, or you know, if we do something and it didn't quite work out how we wanted it to work out, then we can look at it and think, okay, that didn't go quite as I wanted it to go, but what can I learn from that, and how can I do things differently next time? So and I think that's so important, particularly if you're an entrepreneur, because we are all going to come across obstacles, we're all going to have failures. And I think what makes a successful entrepreneur from one that isn't successful is one that's willing to, one, overcome their fears, but two, to realize that you are going to have failures, but you've got to look at those positively as well, and actually think, well, I can actually learn from this, I can improve from this, I can find a solution to this. So you need to change your outlook and perspective on sort of fear and failure as well, don't you? I like to say that failure is success in progress, because every time you fail, like you said, you look at the situation and think, how can I improve? So that's you just improving your way to success. And I think you can only actually fail when you decide to quit. So if you quit, then
that has to be failure. But if you continue going, then that's just progress to your success. Like you said, when you look at things different and have a more positive outlook, then it changes everything. And when you can train your mind and challenge your thoughts, then it makes all of this much easier. It makes life easier.
Yeah, and if only we all knew this much younger in our lives, which is why I always say I just wish that they did teach kind of this mindset stuff at school, because I just think it's why do we have to wait until we hit rock bottom before we actually find out about the power of the mind, and the fact that actually it is down to us. We've got all the tools that we need within ourselves. And within our own minds, and the choice is ours as to what stories we listen to. Do we listen to the negative stories, or do we choose to listen or actually create more positive thoughts and behaviours? Because at the end of the day, that is in our own control. But I wanted to ask you as well, because obviously you've gone through some extraordinary challenges, with the depression and feeling suicidal and all of those things, and you suffered sort of silently. But what out of all of those challenges, do you feel that that you perhaps you wouldn't have gone onto this entrepreneurial path that you're now on? I mean, obviously not because you're trying to help people, but do you think like perhaps this kind of happened for a reason for you, because you've got a message to share and something that you want to teach the world? Do you feel like
I 100% believe that. I feel like we all come to the world with a purpose, and we'll all come up against our own challenges, and those challenges will shape us into what we need to teach and create in the world. And I feel that I was here to go through challenges, to then turn it all around, to realize that we have the power to think and feel how we like, and that we have the power to live how we like and to do what we like in the world, and that we're not actually have to do what everyone else tells us or expects us to do. So when I look back on what's happened in my life, I don't look at it with judgment or with resentment. I actually wouldn't change any of it. The only thing maybe I would have changed is that I found the answer sooner. But I wouldn't change any of the traumas that happened to me, because if they didn't happen, then I wouldn't have been able to experience what that felt like, or that pain. And then I wouldn't have been able to know what other people feel like, and I wouldn't be able to speak and write and create content in a way that connects with people that are going through similar or the same things. And I think when you go through something, that you can help someone going through that same thing. I feel like it was meant to happen, and a lot of people will probably find that quite shocking, but then a lot of people will understand that too. I feel like it was meant to happen, and I wouldn't change any of it. I actually forgive everyone in my past and anyone that ever hurt me, because by forgiving, we let them go, and we let the feelings go. And when we forgive others, we actually set ourselves free. I feel like it was just supposed to be my path, and now I'm here to teach women how to step into their own power, and how to think positively and be confident, and how to chase their own dreams. Because when you're depressed and anxious, you don't chase your dreams, you do what you think other people are thinking you should do. So stepping out of depression and into your power makes you realize who you are and what you want to do. And I realized that this is what I want to do, and this is my purpose and passion. So like you said, I believe it all happened for a reason.
Yeah, I absolutely love that, and I can feel and sense the passion in your voice, and that you really want to help people, which is amazing. But obviously from those adversities, I wanted to ask as well, what do you consider to be from those adversities to now be the biggest triumphs in your life? The things that you're proudest of achieving, your biggest victories, if you like.
I would say actually believing in myself. I think I never used to believe in myself. I used to think I had such low self-esteem, and I can look at a picture of me from 5 years ago and I can feel how I used to feel then, and it was so sad and depressed, and I didn't have any belief in myself or hope or anything for the future. And I think that's the biggest triumph, is actually believing in myself and what I've got to say and who I am, and being myself and becoming my true authentic self, and not worrying about what other people think about me, and just doing what I feel is right for me and not thinking about is it right for other people. So I decided in 2017 that I wanted to travel full time, which is a reason why I took a business online as well. And old Tia would have not done that, but she didn't. She always wanted to travel, but she didn't go traveling because she was worrying too much about other people. But when I changed my mindset and started believing in myself and living for me, I decided I want to travel, so I'm going to go traveling, and that's what I did. So I think out of everything would be believing in myself and becoming my authentic self. So not trying to be someone else, which I used to do, just being Tia Harding, who she is.
And I love that, because it's really what the message that I want to get across to entrepreneurs and Victress FM, because I think there are a lot of people, whether they've suffered depression or anxiety or not, that really, still tell themselves stories and and struggle with self-worth and things, but that's the one thing that we're in control of. And I really love what you're doing to actually help people realize that and to teach them how they can create a more positive mindset. I wanted to ask you though, in light of everything that you have been through, if you could give your younger self a really good piece of advice, what would it be?
I think that I would say this one thing, and this really shocked me when I learned it, that thoughts are just thoughts. And when you think of that, thoughts are not real, thoughts are just thoughts. And I think if I knew that, then I wouldn't have continued constantly thinking these negative things and letting these thoughts spiral downwards constantly. Because if I knew a thought was just a thought and it's not real, then I wouldn't have let it affect my life. I think that was a big changer for me.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that if we're constantly having negative thoughts, it affects our behaviour and our decisions and our actions as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So that's another thing that I learned, and I actually learned that in therapy, that you have a thought which comes first, and then you'll have that thought influences how you feel, then your feeling influences how you act, and then how you act influences any reaction in the world. So if you act negatively, then you're going to see negative things in the world. And if you act positively, then you'll have positive results in a positive life. And I didn't realize that is what actually happened. And when I look back, I think, how did I not know that? I classed myself as an intelligent person, and I didn't understand that the way I thought and felt was affecting the way I was acting, which was then affecting my life. And yeah, I still get a bit confused on why I didn't understand that then. And I think that's just why I get so passionate about sharing this, because I think it doesn't matter who you are, depression and anxiety can affect anyone when you get stuck in a negative thought cycle. And even if you're someone who thinks you know a lot about science and the body, which I did, because that was the subjects I would study, I still didn't understand the mind. And the mind is the most powerful part of our bodies and our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't, like I said, obviously some people may have sort of ongoing depression and anxiety, but I think everybody at some point of their lives will suffer with it. due to certain life challenges. It may be through bereavement, divorce, or whatever experience you go through. So it is something that everybody will face at some stage in their life, and so it's really important to have the tools to be able to cope with it and to really harness that positive mindset. So my final question really is, if you have any advice for listeners that are perhaps struggling with a particular area of their life at the moment, who want to make that change from victim to victress, what advice could you give to them?
Okay, so I would say that not to overwhelm yourself. There's so much internet information on the internet, and there's so many self-help books. I get a lot of emails from my readers saying they've read this book, and they still haven't changed because they've got overwhelmed. So I would say if you want to read all the information, that's fine, but maybe just stick with one self-help book or one self-help blog to start, and try and implement slowly what they say, and just do a little each day. Try not to change your whole life and transform it all at once. Try and do a little bit. So maybe that would be a 1-minute meditation, repeating an affirmation 10 times, and 1 minute of journaling, and maybe 10 minutes of self-care a week. And then when you can manage that, try and work your way up and try and add in more self-care or self-love practices and mindset practices. So I think first start small, don't overwhelm yourself, and also realize that happiness or positivity isn't a 24/7 thing. I think when I first started healing, I thought you were supposed to feel happy and positive 24/7. And then at times when I started to feel low, I would be thinking, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? But I didn't realize that it's normal as human beings to go up and down with our feelings throughout the day and the year. And like you said, things happen, bereavements and job changes, and it's just normal to not feel good 24/7. So I think also to have that in mind, that it's normal to have low days, but it's not normal to feel low every single day for months and years on end. So just start small with your changes and build them up as you go along.
I love that. That's great advice. Thank you so much. So just really, because we're going to have to close off now, I've absolutely loved chatting to you, and I love what you're doing so much. I'm really excited about it, and obviously I want to share it out with the world. So if any of the Victress FM listeners want to find out more about you and read your blog, which is amazing as well, there's some I've had a look through it, some really valuable stuff on there. So I definitely want to encourage people to go and have a look. So how can people connect with you if they want to find out more and get in touch with you?
My blog is tiaharding.com, and I post new blogs weekly, 2 to 4 blogs a week, and I try to give as much information as I can for free. I also send newsletters, so if you wanted to sign up to the newsletter, I send more information there weekly, and I also have free ebooks that are on my homepage where you can sign up, and the ebooks get sent straight to your inbox. And if you wanted to follow me on social media, I'm on Instagram, Facebook and Pinterest, and my handle name is I am Tia Harding.
Lovely, thank you so much for that. Well, I'm going to make sure that those links are included on the show notes and also over on the Victress Entrepreneur's website. But I just want to thank you once again, Tia. I've absolutely loved chatting to you. What you're doing is amazing. I know it's going to help so many people. So I'm certainly going to be sharing it out to the world as much as I possibly can. And I want to wish you every success with what you're doing, and the huge impact that I know that you're going to have on the world as well. Thank you so much.
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been my absolute pleasure, and I will connect with you very soon. Thank you, Tia. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
And to you, our wonderful Victress FM listeners, I hope that you've enjoyed this interview as much as I have. Don't forget, if you want to find out more about Tia, please either check out the show notes or head over to victressentrepreneurs.com, where all of our podcast guests are featured on our website. Please also check out all of our amazing free resources to help you through each stage of starting, launching and growing your business. And don't forget also to subscribe to Victress FM on iTunes or Stitcher to make sure that you don't miss out on another inspiring episode. But until next week, stay victorious.
You're listening to Victress FM. Victress Entrepreneurs, for women who are victorious in business and in life.